Now available in paperback and Kindle, Vampires Stalk the Darkness of the Eternal Night. Get your copy of Eternal Night in paperback and Kindle on Amazon.com. In a previous video I did a couple of months ago, I said the year 2020 was a missed opportunity for Black empowerment. Now, back in 2020, when the George Floyd riots were going on, in the aftermath of George Floyd's murder, Black people actually had white supremacy on the ropes and practically could have asked for anything and gotten anything tangible. Unfortunately, because we had the wrong people in leadership positions, we were not able to capitalize on this opportunity to empower ourselves and move the race forward. And the main reason why we weren't able to move the race forward is because many of the people we had in leadership positions, their minds were not in the right place. Now, many of these people, they were still looking to gain crumbs from the master's table and not looking to go out here and build a platform where they could be able to create a factory where we made our own bread. And examples of this are shown to us with the leadership of the so-called organization Black Lives Matter. Now, when we take a critical examination of the organization Black Lives Matter, they jumped to the forefront of the whole George Floyd riot, and they became the go-to group as related to trying to fight for justice for George Floyd. But instead of going out here and having an agenda and a plan, these female leaders primarily ran on emotion, and they were primarily caught up in the whole social aspect of getting social acceptance from white people. So instead of them looking to advance the race and try to get an agenda passed as related to punishing these rogue police officers, punishing these race soldiers, punishing these beta male suburban commandos, their whole platform was about trying to use the black man's caskets as staircases towards trying to find a way to get white acceptance. And that was shown to us just recently with your Patrice colors, who after getting millions of dollars in donations did not want to use a single dime towards empowering Black people. No, most of that money that was donated to Black Lives Matter primarily went to a certain political party's agenda, and that rest went towards the leadership of Black Lives Matter, who enriched themselves at Black people's expense. So your Patrice colors now owns several pieces of property out here that cost millions of dollars, but there is no sort of platform towards helping many of the Black men out here who wind up becoming victims of police brutality, victims of police shootings, and people who are murdered by police, rogue police officers, race soldiers, or your beta male suburban commandos. Your Black Lives Matter, which is supposed to be an organization that was supposed to talk about showing the value of Black life, showed how little value they had for Black life. And even worse, they showed that they could easily be compromised by white supremacy. All the white supremacists needed to do was name their price, and once they named their price, they could practically have Black Lives Matter, the organization, inside of its pocket to be another buffer class group that they could go out here and trot out to go out here and represent white supremacy's interests and not the interest of those who are interested in Black empowerment. And that was the first of many who caused us to miss a great opportunity. towards empowering black people and advancing the race. Now, in addition to your Black Lives Matter practically missing the greatest opportunity to advance the black race, we also had others who had made compromises with white supremacy, such as your Tanara Burke, who was a part of this Me Too movement. Now, this Me Too movement has also undermined black empowerment, because this Me Too movement was all about going out here and making the black man the image of sexual predation. Now, your Me Too movement had an opportunity to, again, go out here and move the black race forward, but again, they were never interested in moving the black race forward. They were all about anti-black man misandry, and they were all about anti-black man racism. And this organization undermined black empowerment because it went out here and wanted to demonize the image of the black man as the ultimate sexual predator and black brute, and it wanted to push the narrative that black men were black brutes. And this was shown in your Tanara Burke making the statement, oh, I don't have to go after white men, even though most of the white men were the ones participating in the acts of sexual predation in the entertainment industry. She didn't want to go after white men. No, she wanted to go after black men, and she wanted to take economic resources from black men in order to emasculate and destroy those black men, and again wanted to disempower black men. And after going on this campaign to disempower black men, she then made a deal with your CBS to be able to produce content. So here we have another black person undermining black empowerment and showing us all that they could go out here and be bought with a price. And some people's prices were a little lower than other people's prices, because when we look at your Patrice Khan colors, she was bought off for 6 or 7 figures. The same with Tanara Burke, but your Tamika Mallory was bought off for something as little as possibly a fully loaded Cadillac Escalade, because your Tamika Mallory, yet another so-called black activist who's supposed to be working on the grassroots, she showed how she could easily be compromised. And when she went out here and appeared in a Cadillac commercial, she showed that she was somebody who was practically bought off by white supremacy. So what's really sad here, as related to the year of 2020, was we had the greatest opportunity to go out here and achieve goals for black empowerment. Unfortunately, because black men were not in positions of leadership and were not able to set an agenda for the black community, what happened was the black females took over. And when the black females took over as leaders, they showed how they were the weaker vessel. And this weaker vessel was quickly and easily broken and compromised by white supremacy, because all they had to do was name their price. And once they named a price, all of these female leaders quickly caved in to white supremacy and bought into the system of white supremacy, because once you sign an agreement towards making a deal with the devils in white supremacy, they always wind up making your life a living hell. And the reason why they make your life a living hell is because you're making the deal on their terms and not your own. And this is what happened to undermine the greatest opportunity at black empowerment. Most of those efforts, as I see as related to George Floyd, all of those efforts to try to make gains have been practically been compromised, and all we've got to show for it is absolutely nothing, because most of these companies wound up only making symbolic gestures as related to so-called diversity. Yeah, they took Uncle Ben off the rice box. They took
the cream of wheat man off the rice box. They took Aunt Jemima off the pancake box. And what does that do for black people? That's a critical question I want to ask a lot of black people out there, because all of these companies taking mascots off of their packaging, that does nothing for the average black man or black woman. That does not change the job ratios of black people working at these companies, which many profess to be all about diversity, making these empty donations to different organizations like the National Association for the Acceptance of Colored People, which really those people are bought off and paid for. So it's just all a whole host of nothing, and you've got many black people thinking that they've achieved something, but at the end of the day, they achieved nothing, because we had black females in leadership who were caught up in their emotions and caught up looking for social acceptance. And because they were looking for social acceptance, we wound up in the same boat as many black leaders wound up in when they got into the boat as related to integration. So when I look at most of the year 2020, we again missed out on an opportunity for black empowerment, because we did not have leaders who were out here playing chess. No, we had a group of leaders who were playing Candyland. And because they were playing Candyland, all the white supremacists had to do was come out here with some shiny baubles and some sweet tasting candy, and those gullible people just ate up whatever was given to them. And whenever they showed them the shiny baubles, aka name your price, they wound up paying for something that was going to cost them, again, pennies on the dollar compared to the billions and even trillions of dollars they make on black people. So in order to, again, go out here and be able to maintain the status quo, they went out here and gave these handful of so-called black leaders some crumbs from the master's table, and they're going to be assured of business as usual, because these people were not about black empowerment. Their agendas were not about black empowerment, and these people's whole vision was just caught up in feelings of the now and not thinking about trying to empower people for the later. So this was, again, a missed opportunity, and sadly we missed that opportunity because we had the wrong people in leadership. And Time magazine and Rolling Stone magazine's images will show you how we lost due to having the wrong people in leadership positions, and how these people's being in charge wound up costing black people all throughout, again, the summer of 2020, and then later on in November of 2020, when a majority of black people took their booties to the poll, voted for a certain candidate who told them in December he wasn't going to give them tangibles in exchange for their vote, and told them to their face that he couldn't do anything for them, even though those black people went out in large numbers and gave said candidate a series of states and counties he would not have gotten on his own, and your previous candidate could not get in 2016 without the black vote. So black people really missed a great opportunity here, and again, it's all because we had the wrong people in leadership positions, people who are opportunists, people who are not really organized, people who do not understand the subtle politics transpiring around them, and people who don't understand the big picture, and even worse, people who don't understand that the game is chess, not checkers, and in chess you have to be 7 steps ahead of your opponent if you hope to beat them and you hope to achieve your goals. So we've gotten nothing as related to this great opportunity, And again, when we look at what's happening now with your Patrisse Khan colors, the leader of Black Lives Matter, buying luxury homes with money she got donated to her to, again, help black men, it shows, again, how easily the current leadership can be bought. I mean, you can buy these leaders, and they're not really focused on empowering young brothers and sisters, teaching concepts like group economics, or focusing on developing a black agenda that will empower black people. No, many of these individuals, they are primarily focused on trying to use black men's caskets as stepping stones, and after they use the black man's casket as stepping stones, they're looking to gain the favor of the white supremacist, who will go out here and, knowing that this person is not really serious about black empowerment, just come to them and say, hey, what's your price? And these people's price, again, seems to be something as small as getting a deal with Hollywood. And that's really sad when you really think about it, because the town of Hollywood is a very shallow place. It's a very fickle place, and you can have a development deal today and it'll be gone tomorrow, and you're willing to sacrifice black empowerment and moving the race forward over something so small, thinking you're going to make content, but most of that content will probably, again, once it gets filtered through their script doctors and their censors, will be the same anti-black man, misandristic, man-bashing content that will continue, that has been on there ever since the days of Alice Walker and Oprah Winfrey. So when I really look at the sad state of affairs of black America, we went from being able to take a step forward into taking a step back, and we wound up taking that step back right to square one, because again, we had the wrong people in leadership positions, and these so-called leaders led the entire black race into a ditch where you're still going nowhere, because you have the wrong people in charge, and these people, they can easily be bought off for nothing more than a couple of shiny baubles and some white sexual access, and maybe possibly some production in Hollywood. Now, if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, and my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to try some of my positive black fiction on the SJS Direct imprint, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Haynes series, and the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, you can find many of those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them on Smashwords, the iBook Store, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Coming to paperback and e-readers this April, Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. The goddess next door must take on the threat of a deadly digital diva driven to destroy the world in this action-packed all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess in paperback and e-readers this April.